What's going on, everybody? Tom here with Black Sheep Keto, and welcome to another recipe video just for you subscribers out there. And if you're not a subscriber yet, please consider doing so. Now today we're going to be making a delicious and simple keto strawberry shortcake. But this is a little bit of a special recipe because it's actually one of the recipes out of my brand new book, Ketogenic Diet for Two, which is going to be available for sale on September 8th, and I will put a link down in the description to where you can pre-order this. This book is loaded with over 100 recipes that are portioned for smaller keto households, which is exactly kind of the household that I live in, so this was a project that was pretty close to home, literally. In any case, guys, today we're making an awesome keto strawberry shortcake that you guys voted on Instagram, and 86% of people wanted to see this recipe out of the book for free. So that's exactly what I'm doing today. I'm going to show you guys the actual recipe out of this book and how to make it right now. So if that sounds good to you guys, hang on tight and let's get right into the video. Alright everybody, welcome to this recipe for our delicious keto strawberry shortcakes. Now this is really just 5 ingredients, so we're going to go ahead and start with the dry ingredients here. Now right here I have a half a cup of almond flour, 1/4 cup of your favorite erythritol based sweetener blend. This is Lakanto's monk fruit and erythritol blend right here, and 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. That is baking powder, not baking soda. And then it's super simple. We're just gonna take a whisk here and make sure we break up all the clumps and just get everything mixed together nice and well before we move on to our wet ingredients. That looks good to me. I'm gonna set this aside and grab our 2 wet ingredients. So for the wet ingredients, this is super simple. There are 3 large eggs and a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. So we're gonna go ahead and add the vanilla right into the 3 large eggs and give it a whisking just until this is pretty well beaten. Now that looks great to me. I don't know about you guys, but I love the smell of vanilla. In any case, we're gonna go ahead and add our wet ingredients into our dry ingredients and mix it until it's well combined. And now our cake batter is done. Now as a note, I'm using unblanched almond flour, which is why it looks a little bit more brown in color. If you're using blanched almond flour, it'll look more like that yellow typical cake that you'd see. But because I'm using unblanched this particular time that I'm making it, it's gonna have a little bit of a brown tint. It doesn't really make a difference. But the next thing you're gonna need is a donut pan. So we're gonna go ahead and set this to the side, put our donut pan down, and we're gonna need to grease this. So I like to use a little bit of spray coconut oil. Now, since our recipe is going to be creating 3 of these delicious cakes, we're going to go ahead and spray 3 of the molds on this donut pan. Good enough. Now we're going to fill these donut pans with our batter. But what you want to do is you want to fill it over the top of the spire. We're creating those little yellow cakes that you find near these strawberries in your kind of fresh fruit section of your grocery store that are often used to make strawberry shortcake at home. And you know how they have that little divot in the middle? Same idea. So we're going to fill these just over the top of that spire. So now as you guys can see, they're sitting basically just under the spire. I should have probably said that a little bit better. They're sitting just under the spire, but I did put a little bit of coating over the top of it. Now as these rise, they are going to go ahead and come up a little bit, but if you don't put that little bit on the top, it'll kind of surround the spire. So you just want that little bit there to make sure the bottom is sealed. No big deal. Now this is going to go into a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven for between 15 and 17 minutes. They'll be kind of golden brown and pretty much just look like a sponge cake when they're ready to go. But start with 15. If they don't look quite done, give them up to 17 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these in the oven now, and then I'll be back and we'll make the whipped cream. So now I'm back with the ingredients for our whipped cream. And really it's just a 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream and 1/8 teaspoon of a liquid stevia. Now I'm using one that is 24 times sweeter than sugar. So if you guys have one of those ones that's like 250 or 300 times sweeter than sugar, you're gonna have to scale this down a lot. But most of the stuff that you get for like home kitchens, it's about 24 times sweeter than sugar. So go ahead and add that right into the heavy whipping cream. And we're gonna go ahead and whisk this until it turns into whipped cream. If I were you, I would use an electric mixer, but they are so loud on camera that I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna do it by hand, the old and slow way. As a note, some people say, why can't I just use canned Reddi-wip? And technically speaking, there's about 1 net carb per 2 tablespoons of it that you use, but it does contain sugar. And I'm not a judgmental person. If that's cool with you on your keto diet, go for that and just skip this step. But for those of us who completely avoid sugar altogether, this is how I make my whipped cream. All right, now that looks pretty good to me. So we're gonna go ahead and set this whipped cream aside, and we're gonna wait for the cakes to be finished baking and then let them cool completely before trying to remove them from the tray. I get comments every time I bake something where it's like, hey, I tried to take this out of the pan, whatever, and it fell apart. And 9 times out of 10, when I ask them if they let it cool, the answer is no. So guys, I'm telling you right now, if you do not let these things cool, much like every other keto baked good on the planet, and you try to pull them out of the tray, they will fall apart. So we're gonna let this finish baking, cool down, and then I'm gonna meet you back here, put some strawberries on them, and top it with the whipped cream. So I'll catch up with you in just a little bit. Well, my cakes are out of the oven and they're currently cooling. I just want to mention one thing I forgot to say with the whipped cream. Mine is already whipped, but if you want to, you can add just a little dash of vanilla extract before or after you whip it, just to give it a little bit more flavor. And just go ahead and mix that in real well. It may change the color of the whipped cream ever so slightly, but I think having a slight vanilla flavor in the whipped cream actually adds a lot to a dish. Now onto the strawberries. In this bowl, I have 9 strawberries. That's because we made 3 cakes and each cake is gonna have 3 strawberries, so it's gonna be 6 strawberry halves. Now, that means we need to cut all these strawberries in half. It is time for the final step, and that is assembling our cake. So right here I have one of my sponge cakes. Again, if you use blanched almond flour, which basically just removes the skin, it'll be a lighter color than this, but mine looks fantastic to me. As you can see, the bottom did seal up nicely, but the bottoms aren't that pretty, and who really cares? In any case, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take 6 strawberries and kind of line the edges here. Awesome. Now our strawberries are on the cake. We're gonna take about 1/3 of the whipped cream we have and just kind of plop it right there on top. And that is our keto strawberry shortcake. Now obviously the food photographer who took the photos from my book did a much better job of plating it and photographing it than I would. So I'm gonna go ahead and use his photos for the recipe cover and all that. So go ahead and take a peek at those photos there. And then I'm gonna leave a link down in the description for the full written recipe, the macros, all that fun stuff. As a note, the written recipe this time is just going to be a kind of excerpt photo from the actual book. And if you're interested in that book, there will be a link down there where you can pre-order it as well. So let's go ahead and get started with the taste test. All right, everybody, now that you've seen the recipe, the finished product, all of that fun stuff, we are here for the taste test. So I have that awesome strawberry shortcake that we plated up in the recipe video, and I'm gonna go ahead and give it a taste. So get a little bit of the whipped cream, some strawberry, and of course, some of the cake. It's probably too big of a bite for camera, but it's delicious, so I'm gonna eat it anyway. Cheers. I kid you not, guys, this is probably one of my favorite recipes out of the book. The cake is just absolutely perfect in my opinion. It is nice and light and fluffy, a little bit sweet, but you get a lot of the sweetness from the berries and the whipped cream. But one of my favorite things is, because of the sweetener we're using and a little bit of that coconut oil that we use to coat the donut pans, you actually get this mildly kind of crispy coating on the sponge cake, which is absolutely delicious. So hands down, this is one of my favorite recipes out of the cookbook. If you guys are interested in that, once again, I will put a link in the description to where you can pre-order the Ketogenic Diet for 2. If you like this video, leave it a like. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that for me, leave them down in the comment section. And with that, guys, I will see you in the next one.